Okay, so for those of you that are just listening, I'm just talking, really. We're going to practice doing a 941. So if you go to Moodle, in the first section, you're going to find a weekly payroll register, which has 4 employees and how much they're making their payroll for one period. So you should have a blank 940 next to you, and you should have the payroll register up in front of you. And really the only other piece of information that you need to know is over here, and that tells us that they're a Michigan employer, that they only pay unemployment to one state, and that since it's a weekly paycheck, that they have 4 checks a month, except for February, May, August, and November, they have 5 checks a month. So what I'd like you to do first on a piece of paper is set up a matrix that looks like this. So you're going to put the name of the employee, the 4 quarters, and the total. You're going to put the name of each employee, and then we're going to do the total gross wages. So in order to move from the payroll register to the matrix, you need to take the gross pay, and we're just pretending like the overtime is the same every time, and multiply by the number of paychecks in a quarter. That's always the question you have to ask yourself. So if they're a monthly payroll, you're only multiplying by 3. Semi-monthly, 6. If it's weekly or bi-weekly, then you have to ask the question, what are the weird months where it's not just where it's the off month where you've got a different number of payrolls. So the first thing you're going to do is go ahead and figure out how much their gross wages were per quarter. So you should stop the tape and do that, and then you can check your numbers. And that this gives us our total wages per quarter. But we know that people will cap at $7,000 per employee per year. So I'm doing this on the computer for point of illustration, but if you're actually doing it by hand, I literally, I'll see if I can pull this off with insert shapes. I would literally take a different color pen and say, okay, when does Creek cap? And he doesn't cap in the first quarter, but in the second quarter he actually caps. So I would draw a line through the 6591, and my question is, how much does he actually pay taxes on in the second quarter? So if we only pay up to $7,000 and he's already earned $65.91, $409 is actually the amount that he's going to pay FUTA taxes on. And I somehow want to show that that's the number that I'm going to be using here rather than the $65.91. Once you've done that, once somebody's capped, you can just go ahead and cross out anything further because there's no more FUTA wages. So if you can go ahead and do that to each person, tell me where they cap and how much of that current's wages are susceptible. The next item you're going to fill out is called total FUTA wages. In other words, how much is susceptible to FUTA. So again, I'll give you some time to do that if you want to stop the tape, and then you can turn it back on and see the answer. So now we're going to just add up how much they're paying food on a quarterly basis. And you can see it should make sense when you add up the total food and wages, it comes to 28,000, which is of course 4 people at 7,000 each, right? So then we're just going to go and do the last 2 lines, which is total FUTA liability, and then our FUTA deposits. And once we have this matrix filled out, then we'll move on to the 941. So to get the FUTA liability, it's a pretty simple calculation. It's just the 0.006 of the FUTA wages. So we can just go ahead and see pretty easily what our liability is per quarter. And then the rule is, just as a refresher on the deposits, we only deposit when we get to $500 cumulatively, and we never get there. So in this case, I pay $168 with the $940. And then I've got all the information really that I need. Now I can move on and take my matrix actually to the 941. So I'm just going to jot down the numbers, and then you can go to irs.gov, forms and publications, and get your 941. And let's see, this is Banner Drug Store. Okay, so just to finish this off, this little tutorial off, we're going to now go to our 941, or 940, excuse me. Go ahead.
I was just going to catch you with the 940.
Oh, thank you, you're sweet.
They've got written all right to 941 calculation.
Oh, I do? Oh, well, that's super confusing. That's not a 941 at all. Yeah, we're working on FUTA, 940. Okay, so let's go get a fresh one here. And we're going to fill out our EIN. So you at home that are listening to the tape, you can have this, the payroll register in front of you, and then the 940 should probably be a hard copy, or you can go between a split screen, whatever's easiest for you. And Banner Drug Store. And let's say that I'm in Lancaster, Michigan. And part 1, I only had to pay to one state. If I had to pay to more than one state, I've got to actually check 1B, and then I need to go complete a Schedule A, like is on page 5-25. And if I'm in a state that's in a credit reduction, which means that I've defaulted on my Title 12 loans, so my SUTA credit is going down, my net food is going up, we just looked it up, there's only 2 states in that situation, which is California and Michigan. So now I'm taking the results of those calculations and I'm plugging them into my 940. Line 3 is total payments to all employees. What number was that? Yeah. Then I'm just going to jump down to line 7 and key in the total taxable FUTA wages. And I think that we got that off of our matrix. Again, that's just the 28,000, right? The totaled up these numbers. So then really the difference between the 114 and 868 is the only calculation that we have to do. Everything else came straight from our matrix. And this is the total amount of payments made to employees in excess of 7,000. So I'm just going to find the difference between 28,000 and 114,868, and that 86,868 is the amount that I paid per employee over $7,000. I'm going to pull my FUTA tax before adjustments straight from my table as well. That was $168, and I can tie that out by taking 28,000 times 0.006. So, okay, great. Here's my FUTA. We're not going to have any adjustments. So I'm just going to read the instructions down here. Line 12, you add up 8, 9, 10, and 11, so that's the same 168. How much did I deposit for the year? And we saw from the last row in our schedule that we didn't have to deposit anything because we never got to $500. Therefore, balance due $168. Next page, really not much going on here. Don't forget to re-enter the name and your FEIN. And then right here, it tells us that we only need to report our FUTA liability by quarter if I got over $500. And I didn't, but if you did, you would just pull, if I gave you a problem where you were over $500, you would just enter these numbers in there because you've got them all calculated. So no big deal, don't let that throw you. But we don't have to because we didn't get over $500. And all I'm going to do is sign my name. DEO, I'm not sure what that is. Oh. And put in my phone number. And it's ready to roll. January 31st, IRS with a check attached to it. Okay, so hopefully that will be enough to help you finish the homework.